So I just finished reading Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by Hunter S. Thompson. And it's kind of a time capsule. You know, it's a kind of referendum on the 60s and uh, a glorification of dope, and yet sort of a referendum on dope as well. I mean, it's like, I'm glad that I didn't read this book when I was young and impressionable, because I would have thought, oh, I'm going to do all that dope and have a blast. And I did have a long journey with drugs, but I promise you, you know, the wild, crazy times, I'm glad I survived them, because some people don't. Uh, and I lived in Vegas for 2 years. I lived in Vegas from 2000 to 2002. You know, I was there when 9/11 happened. And, uh, you know, when I got there, Vegas had been around, you know, about 50 years. And all I can say is it was a fully thriving, fully functioning world. But I got addicted to marijuana, and I became a sloppy pothead, and I was shown the door after a couple years. If I had had my head screwed on right, I'd probably still be out there today. It's a very stable, comfortable place to live if you can keep your shit together. But anyway, so, you know, what the thing about this book is, it's outrageous. It reminds me a little bit of Don Quixote. You know, you got the two characters that go off and have all the misadventures. Quixote and Sancho Panza, they go off and they have all these misadventures. Ridiculous adventures. And that's what this is. This is, Raoul Duke, you know, who's Hunter with the attorney. And there's a lot of humor in the book, which I like. It's original writing. There's no one else like him. It's not what I would call great writing. I mean, it's not, okay, who are the great writers? When I think of some like great American writers, the first novel that's like, holy shit, would be, well, there were two of them that came out at the same time. One was Huck Finn, Mark Twain's Huckleberry Finn, and Melville's Moby Dick. Now, when you read Moby Dick, you're going into the land of the mystic. This is mystic writing, and nobody gave a shit about this guy. Like the country didn't know what to do with Moby Dick. He lost his audience. He died in obscurity. His book was out of print. But I promise you, when you read Moby Dick, you're like, holy shit! You can't even believe it came out in the 1850s. It's so fresh and modern. That's great writing. Toni Morrison is great writing, but Toni Morrison is over-celebrated. She was over-celebrated. If you want another taste of original writing, you'll never find out about this in a literature course, but Iceberg Slim. When I read Pimp, The Story of My Life, I couldn't get past the first page. It was so hardcore. I wasn't ready. It took another stab at it to finish it. And then James Dickey is one of our greats. John Updike, Rabbit Run is really awesome. And there's more in that series. Cormac McCarthy's Blood Meridian is, I never read anything like that in my life. So we've got some really great writers in this country. Of course, I went down the Bukowski rabbit hole, and I explored that thoroughly. And he had some really good things to say. And in a way that no one else really said it. So Yeah, I'm really glad I read this book. I can. It must have been an exciting time to live. Late '60s, early '70s. All the shit going on, Vietnam coming to a close, and fucking riots and protests all over the place. Everybody doing dope, kids fucking in the streets, and I don't know. The problem with the dope is it starts off a lot of fun, but it doesn't end well. I mean, Hunter S. Thompson, he did such copious quantities of dope that he ruined himself. And he ended up blowing his head off. Uh, I don't know. It's also it was just. I mean, I grew up with dope fiend parents, so like I get it. Like it's just the glorification, the celebration of the drug life. That was my stepmom. She would geek out on pills and go, and my dad would do blow, snort all kinds of blow and smoke weed and drink, and go, and and it's funny too because in this book, they've got illustrations by Ralph Steadman, and that's about what it looks like when um, when you're high and everything is just distorted and contorted and yeah. Well, anyway, it was an interesting read. I'm glad I read it. I've got his book on Hell's Angels here, and I don't know if I'm going to get into it right away. I think I need a change of pace for a second, but it's good to be reading again, man. I thought I would never get back to it because I was just so fucking distracted by life. But anyway, happy reading.